What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for joining us on the Unconditional Podcast today, where we empower entrepreneurs to overcome trauma, to become set in their true identity, and to keep healthy boundaries in life. We do all this by sharing real and raw stories and expert secrets. I'm your host, Rabbi Michael Schoening, and our guest today is Danielle McCarthy. Thanks for jumping in here.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And our first sponsor is Planet Duct, Southern Colorado's best air duct cleaning company. They even clean my personal home's air ducts and dryer vents. They're certified by the National Air Duct Cleaners Association. When it comes to families' lung health, hire the best. Check them out today at planetduct.com. Danielle, I've seen you so many times in the community. I don't know that I've had much of the pleasure of really getting to have a good conversation with you. I've seen you in networking in the community and 1 million cups and different things and a lot of different events. And it's so good to see you always in the community. And I think you're one of the most consistent networkers I've met in my entire life. And I don't know if you see that too, but I see a lot of people, even myself, I've had phases of networking and then focusing on a project for 6 months and coming back in the community. And I think you have been one of the most consistent with networking. But my big question first is, what project has been keeping you busy lately?
So what project's been keeping me busy actually isn't related to my business. It's a documentary about my life and kind of going that way. So kind of focusing on that for a little bit, kind of step back from the networking scene.
Oh no, that's
because I know, I was like, oh, that's a little bit awkward and ironic right there.
Listen, hey,
but I'm still
I
out there.
love to give compliments, even if they're not true. I just like giving compliments.
Well, it was true. I mean, for about 3 years, like it was a daily regiment thing, right? Because in business, you can control two things. My mentor taught me, which was your activity and your attitude. Because you can't control anything else when it comes to business, right? You plant the seeds and you kind of fertilize them, and then it goes from there. You don't always get to see the harvest. So obviously you were a seed of the harvest, because I've been planting these seeds and had networked for a whole bunch very consistently with great activity, great attitude. And then because of some life things, had to step back. Like I said, focused over here on this project with a good friend of mine, Jake, to do the documentary. So I'm going to do kind of a shameless plug for the documentary. It's called CremainsUnknown.com. That's the website. Sorry, the name of the documentary is Cremains Unknown, and it follows my story of what happened from my husband's death to this point where we are now, and why it's so important. But to your point, though, sometimes, it's personal habits and attitude, like you said in your intro, right? And it really just comes down to attitude and activity, because you really can't focus on anything else in your business. Some days your attitude's going to drive your activity, and some days you're going to be like, this just sucks and I don't want to do anything. But in order to keep the business going and what have you, you've got to do the activities. So that's where doing the activity sometimes drives the attitude, right? It's kind of like exercise, the way my mentor mentioned it. He's like, you need to, you should, but you don't always want to. And being in the financial industry, right now, a lot of people are leaving the financial industry in droves. Yeah. We are seeing a big exodus leaving the financial industry.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And then it's interesting to be on the flip side of that, to be with a company who has grown 30% for the last 16 years, year upon year upon year upon year. And what is that sustainability, and why is that sustainability there? And again, it comes down to truly your values, and what your core values are for yourself and for your business, and what drives your business. Again, learn that from my mentor. And then the thing that he constantly always says, and I love him for this, is your activity and your attitude. And it's not just in your business either, right? This is also in your personal life. If we take that back to exercise, there are days where you're like, woohoo, yes, I want to go conquer that mountain. Then other days you're like, I can't even get on the exercise bike, for 10 minutes. But, it's, again, that consistency of showing up for yourself, showing up for your clients, showing up for your family, showing up whatever, just like we were talking kind of prior to the show about entrepreneurship. It's, French for he who carries the burden or wants to carry the burden. And that just comes down to leadership, whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher, whether you're in business, whether you're a rabbi, somebody, or a community leader. Either way, we're all entrepreneurs at some point. We're all leaders at some point.
Right.
And that all comes back to attitude and activity, right? It's so mind-boggling that you can kind of bring everything back, because your attitude is going to drive so much. If you've woke up on the wrong side of the bed that day, you're going to feel it, and it's going to impact your entire day and your activities for the day. Wake up on the great side of the bed, it's going to impact. And those two go hand in hand. So that's kind of where we're at.
I push the bed against the wall.
Nice.
So I can only get out on one side now.
There you go.
No, for me personally, I think, so I wrote this book, The Unwind. It's 30 evenings for the entrepreneurial mind. And if anybody wants this, they can email me at unconditionalcoach.com. It's in the description, and I'll send them an ebook for $10. And it's really thin. And I talked about publishing a book for 10 years, and it was finally like, do something. It was like my dad in my head, do something or do it wrong. And this book has become one of the most like powerful tools in my personal life. And not just that, but I have people going through this thing, and this was like the theme of the last, and I printed it super dark so people can read it before bed. Right. But in there, I talk about being grateful. Always. And I sit on the edge of the bed and I let my spine kind of settle, because I've been getting all these spine issues. And I say at least 3 things I'm grateful and thankful for. My entire day is totally different. Like I have less physical pain with fibromyalgia and my discs and all that stuff. I'm smiling more, like I have less digestive issues. I can focus better. I'm more calm and regulated throughout the. So it's like that attitude. And when it's funny, because if somebody were to say, that guy's got an attitude, that girl's got an attitude, automatically we think a negative connotation, right? But it's like, it's interesting. We live in a society where we live in an existence where I think words are really, really important, and how we speak to ourselves is really important. It's kind of funny. I have a friend I said, how you doing? She goes, whelmed. I said, what do you mean whelmed? Oh, nice. And she goes, well, a lot of people say they're overwhelmed, and I'm not. And some people even say underwhelmed. She goes, I'm just whelmed. I go, what is that? I don't know what whelmed means, but I absolutely love it. I want to be whelmed too. But to me, that's like emotionally regulated. Oh, I like that. Well, because if you think about overwhelmed, right, means, and we know that that's frantic, that's hectic, that even just causes anxiety just saying the word, right? Where whelmed, you're kind of like, no, I'm in control. This is what we're doing today. This is how we're grooving. And kind of speaking of that, so again, activity drives my attitude. So I learned shortly after my husband's death, one of the best things I could do to set myself up for success was how I greeted the morning. And so like you, I greet it with gratitude. It's not always the happiest of gratitudes. Let's be real. It's a very real show. Second is I go straight into exercise, whatever that exercise looks like. For me, lately it's been yoga and Pilates. I can literally just roll out of bed, grab my yoga mat, throw it down on the floor, turn my phone on, go straight to the program. And even before I've fully awakened, I'm already eating the biggest frog of my day. And if you haven't read that book, that's an amazing book too. And the premise is, do the one thing that you don't want to do first thing in the morning, and then the rest of your day can only get better. And so again, same thing in business. Again, attitude, activity. Not a big fan of working out, but I do it anyway. And that actually changes, because then this morning, a little rough getting up this morning, and was able to go, you know what? I got off my yoga mat and I was like, I did it. I've already eaten my frog. I've eaten the one thing that I don't like doing the most, and I'm already done. I've already said gratitude. I've already made my bed, and I've done exercise. The world can just get better from here. And that was even before the sun was up. And as you can see, the sun keeps coming and hiding behind clouds with me. Yeah. But again, it just really comes down to your attitude and your activity, and your thing to gratitude. Gratitude shifts instantly. Attitude, gratitude. Yep. Gratitude is the fastest way to pull yourself out of a slump, especially if you're doubting yourself as a parent, doubting yourself as a leader, doubting yourself as a person, doubting yourself as whatever your title role might be. And sometimes, even if there's nothing that you feel that you can find gratitude for, then flip the script. Be grateful for the stuckedness.
because it's teaching you something about yourself. You may not know what it is, but change it into gratitude. And that's hard, especially being challenging for the hard times in your life, right? Because who wants to be grateful for, a flat tire or your husband's death or, all these other things. Like, I mean, very real. I'm a very real person. I'm not grateful that my husband died, but there's also times that I'm grateful that his death has taught me so many amazing lessons about our relationship, about myself, about him, about our sons. It's allowed me to show up for other people and other widows traveling this journey and show up for them in some spectacular ways. And it's not to say that I'm grateful that my husband died. I would love to have him back in a heartbeat. I would trade anything and everything for it. In the meantime, it's taught me different levels of life that I would have not had prior to his death.
Yeah.
And, I think in society, and this kind of comes back around to that documentary again, we are death avoidant as a society. We are grief avoidant as a society. We don't want to deal with the fact that this is going to happen. And here's what I have to say about that. And it's kind of back a nod to my husband. The leading cause of death is birth. So perfect dad joke, right?
Someone told me, you know what the leading cause of divorce is? And I was like going down the list of things I thought it was. And he's like, marriage.
Right. You are not getting out of this alive. So again, coming back to, there are things in life to take serious, right? Caring for one another, being kind. But in all the other aspects of life, it's all going to be gone. What you're going to be remembered for is your legacy of love, your legacy of kindness, your legacy of showing up and being there for people, showing up and being there for yourself, being able to help other individuals. Other people obviously have made different choices and they will be remembered for other things, but those are the ones that I just listed. Those are the things that I want to be remembered for. Yeah. That's my legacy. That's the legacy I want to live and leave. So, and it all comes down to your attitude and your activity. It really, truly just boils down to those two things.
Let me ask, if you're anything like me, you didn't start life off this way. You didn't start life off recognizing the importance of getting up and eating that frog and, getting your stuff done, getting your exercise done and having a great attitude and waking up. What was the tipping point in your life that really transformed your way of thinking and transformed how you operate as an entrepreneur?
That's actually going to go way back into my 20s when I had my kids. It really came down to becoming a mom. Becoming a mom made me really stop and think about, because of how I grew up, it was more of what not to do as a parent. So I shifted that thinking coming into my marriage, coming into raising my kids. Yeah. For me, it was, I know that my parental units and my family of origin did the best with the knowledge and information they had, and I've forgiven them and I've moved on. But it was definitely a lesson in what not to do for parenting and what not to, or how not to treat people, and shifted that. My husband was a big piece of that as well. And then part of that was just always being curious and always wanting to be a learner. So still learning. That's kind of the second key to being a great entrepreneur. Never stop learning.
That's right.
Ever. It doesn't matter. Read anything and everything. People in your industry, people not in your industry, biographies, self-help, gratitude, spiritual books, all of that. One of the other lessons that my mentor teaches is work harder on yourself than you do your business, and your business will grow. Because each new level of your business, each new opportunity, each new client, they're going to challenge you in a new way. And you can kind of preemptively prepare yourself for that by just constantly learning. And we kind of have a standing guiding rule in our company, which is you read 15 minutes a day. And, it's amazing how many books you can read in 15 minutes a day, and how much you can glean in that time frame.
Yeah.
And build your business around that, and build the people around you as well.
I love that philosophy. It's like, big things in life are really just a bunch of little things in life.
Always.
Somebody quoted that a lot better than I just did, but we get the
Mhm.
concept.
Mhm.
A mile is just a mile is just a bunch of steps.
Yep.
That's it. And then a journey is just a bunch of miles. So it's awesome. I don't think a lot of people, when they're becoming moms, they really expect that maybe I'm going to learn tools that I'll be able to use as somebody in business. But we find that we gain our tools in life for being a better entrepreneur and being more successful and being more influential in life and healthier holistically in the weirdest places. It's like, I'm not looking for this tool.
Yep.
I'm looking for something else. But wow, this is really, I like the first day I started the podcast, I'm coming home from something and I see this big caterpillar and it's like near my front door. I go, what? Okay, whatever. I need to get it off the house. I don't want it to go up. A bird's just going to eat it. I don't want to leave a weird mark if it cocoons on my stucco. And so I do what any 7-year-old American boy does, and I find a jar. And up here at my bookshelf over here, I have a jar, and I put a stick in there just right, and it went up, and it tried to get out. It even was tapping at the saran wrap, tap, tap, tap. And then it just I looked at it, and I said, "You're okay." And it crawled under the stick, and I feel like this caterpillar trusted me enough to cocoon in front of me. And it was a caterpillar with its little strings, and the next day, boom, it was like a cocoon and its head fell off, and that was really weird. I didn't know that their heads fell off. It was like its eyes and face was laying. I'm like, oh my, his head fell off. Apparently that's part of the cocooning process, is losing your head. Sometimes that's life, right?
That's a spiritual, there's a spiritual lesson right there some way, somehow.
Yeah, sometimes growth happens after losing your head.
This is what I'm saying.
This thing, like, if it successfully does its thing, hopefully, it's going to be, like, I looked it up. It's a black swallowtail and, like, an absolutely gorgeous butterfly. Steve's going to know a lot more about him. He probably has 100 of them in his freezer right now. But I'm excited because I could let it go, or I could freeze it and make a little artwork thing with it. But either way, it's now. I just said all of that, and then I said I might kill it, so that was terrible. But I'll probably let it go now that I feel guilty about it. But I'll tell you, we've got like 1 minute left. I love your story. In business, right? We do get stuck, and you obviously went through the. I don't know how much you want to say about it, but you went through the death of your husband, and I feel like in a way you kind of you were forced to relive that several times with what happened. And like, how do you do that and do business, and how do you, without losing your head?
That is a great question, and one I'm currently solving. I wish I had like a magic wand or a magic book or something that says that. But like you said, I constantly, to some extent, relive my husband's death. That's actually a very normal statement for a widow. We kind of relive it every single day. And I'm 5 years out, and it's still every single day I find that I have to find a new way to get through the day. And then when you add, thank you. And then when you add this other trauma of what the documentary covers, and again, going to plug the documentary again, go to the website, CremainsUnknown.com, support the film, watch the trailer, share it with senators and congressmen and anybody else in the veteran community as a Gold Star spouse. I kind of do have to relive this every single day. So I think it's going to sound overly simplistic, but again, it's those small steps, right, that make the journey move. It's gratitude that brought me here. Gratitude will continue to take me where I need to go. It's unconditional. Gratitude is unconditional. So,
I love it. Danielle, I wish we had more time. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Like I always say, I'd rather have, these are short podcasts, but I'd rather have you on 10 times. Maybe the next time you come on, we can talk more about the documentary, and maybe do another one where you talk about, what you do for business in the community and how you serve our community with what you mentioned. It was financial. So, I think we'd love to get some
Yep.
pro tips
Yep.
for our listeners.
Yep.
We've got our next sponsor. It is the Unshakable coursing program by Peter Lynch, and it is the Elite Mastermind for Men. You can see that at sleek.bio/unshakable. Kind of sounds like unconditional, and he's been on the show as well. Next sponsor is Garage Fitness, and that is with Gordon Bradecki, and you can get professional fitness coaching from anywhere with online coaching programs at garagefitnessspa.com, and he's got a 21-day challenge coming up that I'm going to be a part of, so super excited for that.
Nice.
And thank you guys who are watching and listening for the likes, the subscribes, the follows, the shares, all the things. We appreciate you. We love you as we build this unconditional tribe, this unconditional community, and we will see you on the next podcast. See ya.